Thank you for joining me on a quilting tale today. My name is Shaylin, and I can finally share that I have started the Flower Stand Block of the Month quilt. This was a block of the month by Heather Briggs of my So Quilty Life, and it was actually just over a year ago that this block of the month program started. I was holding off on it because I wanted to make this quilt with the Dainty Meadows fabric line, which hadn't been released yet at the time of this program. And so I got the fabric for it a while ago. I just hadn't started it until now. And so I wanted to share how those first two blocks have come along. And the funny thing is that when I looked at the date when it started, I actually started the first envelope of patterns a year exactly to the date when it started. So I'm a year behind, but I'm excited to see how this one is going to turn out. The first couple blocks are lovely, so I wanted to just share footage of how those blocks have come together. So let's get started. This block of the month program came with 6 envelopes, and inside each one is a pattern for a couple blocks. So this is what block 1 and 2 look like and what I will be making in today's video. One of the nice things about Heather's program is she threw in little gifts for each envelope. Envelope number 1 came with these little alphabet pieces you could cut out and just use to label all the pieces. And there are quite a few of them, lots of small pieces in this pattern as you're making so many different petals and floral shapes. So I thought I would just use these and get them all cut out. As I mentioned before, I'm using Dainty Meadows by Heather Briggs of my So Quilty Life, the same one who designed this block of the month. And I went more in depth in another video, which I'll link below if you want to see these layer cake squares up close. I also got some yardage for a few of the pieces that are going to be bigger than 10 inches or longer. But right now I'm just picking out 3 squares for my flower petals, 3 squares for my flower centers, and 3 green squares to be stems and leaves. I chose to best press all my layer cake squares and all my yardage. I find that whatever you do to pre-treat, whether it's starching or steaming with just water and your iron, it's nice to do that ahead of time because your fabric will shrink a tiny bit most likely, and so you're more accurate with your piecing if you shrink it ahead of time instead of after you cut it. And so I'm just going to take the time, let the best press sit for a moment, and then iron them all out. So it's an extra step, but I think it's worth it, and it makes for more accurate piecing. If you watch me spray this next piece, you'll see it move ever so slightly as it's shrinking. I like to cut off the pinked edges just to have a fresh line to work with my ruler. And one thing about the pieces in these blocks is you will have some pretty tiny ones, some as skinny as an inch, and so I wouldn't get rid of any of your cut off pieces because you might be able to use them for something tiny. I'm cutting so many of the same size pieces just for the different flowers, I did start doubling up my fabric to make it go a little faster. So that is something you can do if you feel comfortable layering your fabrics. So here are all the pieces I'll need for block number 1. And now I'm ready to start making the units that will make up the block. So I'll start with those tiny pieces that will just go on the corners. They don't like to lie flat, but if you use the clapper and some steam, that helps a bit. So I'll just show you some of this block coming together. Enjoy the music, and I'll come back to you when it's finished. I decided to stack all the pieces one block on top of another to help with chain piecing. Pieces had bulkier seams, so I used my flatter spray to help with those. Because these pieces are so small and then you have the 1/4 inch seams, they can feel a little bulky. So again, a clapper or spray like flatter can help with that. Here are the 3 flowers, and I was very intentional about making sure I didn't use any of the same prints on the flowers. So I have 2 different green prints here, and then I just made sure that I didn't repeat a print even if it was in a different color within each floral unit, although you will see some of the same prints in the other flowers. So now all I have to do is attach the side and top piece like so. And this block is finished. I always like to best press or steam pre-cuts. I have with both of these, and you can see the difference in just these 2 layer cakes. Now I have them lined up edge to edge here, but you can see that one is bigger, so they're not always cut exactly. So that's why I like to trim off the edges, just make sure that they're really squared up before I cut my pieces. But pre-treating, whether it's steam, starch, best press, is a good idea ahead of time because there is some shrinkage, and especially with pre-cuts, you know, they might not be exact. I purposefully put this checkered print on top because it has straight lines, and I want to make sure with my first cut that I keep those straight lines intact. And that way it doesn't look like it's going crooked as I cut more pieces. So I'll do the same thing when I cut off the pinked edges. I just want to make sure that nothing looks crooked. Here's the finished block. Unfortunately, I discovered after completing it and starting video footage for my next video that my camera didn't record. I think there's something wrong with the SD card. So unfortunately, I couldn't show how all of this came together. And there's only one of these blocks to make. But a lot of the process is the same with the stitch and flip on the petals and leaf pieces. If you're really accurate with your cutting and your sewing with your 1/4 inch seam, the little jar uh, lids or rims should just be nice and centered with your leaves and the rest of the jar. What I had hoped to show was cutting out the tulips from the panel and just how I got them centered. Fortunately, there will be other blocks that come from the same panel and I can demonstrate at that time. So my apologies that I didn't get all the footage for block number 2, but I did want you to see how it turned out. Again, a lot of it is pieced like block number 1, but we will try again next time to get the panel portions in and how to do that. I just love how these are turning out, and I can't wait to make more of them. Now, something fun I want to do for this summer, as it's about to kick off soon, is concentrate on all my works in progress, or WIPs for short, that I was counting up and realized I have a lot, about 11 actually. Well, one I haven't started, but I want to. So there are 11 projects that I'm just happy to make, and I'm not in any hurry to finish them. I'm just enjoying the process working on them. And so I thought what I would do is spin a wheel every week and see what my whip of the week will be, and just do that throughout the summer. Not that I'll make a video every week, but it'll just kind of guide what I'm working on. And of course, I will share the progress as I go and give you updates on it. So I'm not sure if I'll finish any tops this summer, but I'm sure going to have a blast working on these beautiful projects. And so let's give the wheel its first spin and see what will be in my next video. Looks like it's going to be knitted blooms. I love the colors in this quilt. It was inspired by a t-shirt that I got at Custer State Park in South Dakota last summer, and it's just so fun to put together. This is a pattern by Lo and Behold Stitchery, and it was a quilt along. It has finished, and so I still have a lot of work to do on it, but I'll be happy to share how it's coming along in my next video. So stay tuned for that. And if you enjoy watching my projects come together, I always appreciate a like and to subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching. Happy summer. I'll see you soon.